Every video game player out there has that one game series that connects with them in many different ways. That game series could be something like Zelda, an adventurous fantasy game with vast lands to explore, or maybe it's Pokemon, a role-playing game where you collect pocket monsters to battle with and evolve. And then there's my case, where my most fun series is Sonic the Hedgehog. Wait, guys, stop! Let me explain myself! Yeah, being a Sonic fan these days isn't exactly the easiest thing in the world, especially nowadays. The Sonic series has had quite the history in the past 10 years for their inconsistent game quality, ranging from really good to really bad. And do I even need to mention the hot mess that is the Sonic fanbase? Good lord, if you've ever been on YouTube or whatnot for like, I don't know, 2 seconds, then you know how bad the fanbase can get sometimes, with Sonic memes, horrid fan art, and do I dare talk about how game critics like to treat the series?
We keep trying and trying and trying to find this thing that was never really actually there.
Sonic was never good.
Well, you know what? I want people to know that there is still good under all this hatred for the Sonic series. Dare I say, Sonic may be one of the most important series in all of gaming. With that said, I'm Aaron the Wolf, and it's high time I tell the world why Sonic the Hedgehog is awesome. The Blue Blur himself was created by Sega artist Nato Oshima as a plan to come up with the new mascot for their company, as well as their new console, the Sega Genesis. See, their last attempted mascot, Alex Kidd, was considered too similar to Nintendo's money-making machine, Mario. As a result, Oshima teamed up with programmer Yuji Naka to create a small blue hedgehog by combining the blue color of Sega's logo, Michael Jackson's boots from his hit song, Bad, Santa Claus's red color scheme to go with the boots, and Bill Clinton's can-do attitude. By their combined powers, they created the one and only Needle Mouse. Yeah, he was originally named Mr. Needle Mouse, but was later renamed to Sonic because, well, it just sounds better. And with that, Sonic the Hedgehog was born along with the Genesis title of the same name. You know the rest. Sega made Sonic to be in almost every way the opposite of Mario. Mario was kind and his games were at a slower pace. Sonic was cool, cocky, a bit of a punk, and was well known for going really, really fast. And Sega took this to heart when it came to advertising the game.
Danita Stokes, president of HAG.
It's bad enough that Sega Genesis has the most 16-bit games, but this new Sonic the Hedgehog, oh, he really does my doilies. They say he's incredibly fast. Why can't it be more like that nice boy Mario? Oh, little brat!
And thus, Sega started a phenomenon, with the first game selling at least over 23 million copies across all platforms, and that's only counting the Genesis and mobile phone ports of the game. Sonic 1 has been ported to so many consoles that it's hard to keep track of them all. Genesis, Master System, Game Gear, GameCube, PS2, Xbox, Nintendo Wii, Xbox 360, DS, 3DS, PS3, PC, and even a port on the Game Boy Advance, which was... Oh. So yeah, Sonic became a hit worldwide and spawned 3 sequels, countless merchandise, 2 TV shows which aired at the same time, and even a Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade balloon, which was unfortunately damaged due to high winds. So yeah, Sonic was a really big deal in the 90s, but this isn't where I started with the series. Now, when I was a small lad, I grew up with the Nintendo 64, playing games like Super Mario 64, Banjo-Kazooie, and Yoshi's Story. One day though, my brother from another mother went ahead and gave me his original Xbox, in which my parents gave my N64 to my grandmothers, without telling me. Yeah, I was pretty peeved about that, but I wasn't mad for long, as one of my first games for the Xbox was none other than Sonic Heroes. I popped in the disc, booted up that oh-so-nostalgic load screen. Man, that takes me back. And heard the incredible sound of Crush 40 as the title screen popped up. And from that day forward, my mind was blown. The moment I first heard that great music playing through Seaside Hill for the first time as Team Sonic, I was hooked. Keep in mind, I was used to games like Mario 64, where it was more slower paced and focused on platforming. Sonic Heroes, on the other hand, gave me such an adrenaline boost from its high-speed gameplay and its team-based mechanics. I fell in love with all the characters: Sonic, Tails, Knuckles, Amy, Cream, Big, Shadow, Rouge, Omega, Vector, Espio, and Charmy. To me, Sonic was a man's game. No more sissy Mario. Sonic was where it's at. I never finished playing the game at the time, but I was only about 7 when I played it and honestly didn't really care. I just loved playing it, and I still do to this day. As time went on, I got my hands on some other games in the series, like Sonic Riders, Sonic Rush, and even Sonic and Sega All-Stars Racing. But the one game that made me a Sonic fan was none other than Sonic Colors. It came out at just the right time where I was getting better at video games, and with its amazing soundtrack, colorful aesthetic, and wisp-based gameplay, I was like, you know what? I love this stuff. I want to play everything to do with the series because it is the best thing ever. And then shortly after, Sonic Generations came out, and long story short, I still vividly remember staying at my grandma's house for the weekend and playing the whole thing through on my cousin's PS3. It was a great time to be a Sonic fan in 2011. But that being said, I still haven't explained why Sonic is awesome, haven't I? Well, let's get back into it and explain it as best as I can. I won't lie, there are plenty of Sonic games out there where their quality really isn't that good. That being said, let me go over some reasons why I think Sonic as a whole succeeds. Right off the bat, I just love the sense of being as free as the wind I get when I'm moving through levels faster than the speed of sound. It feels nice to master the many levels and see how fast I can blaze through them. But Sonic games are not just about speed. It's a big part of it, yes, but Sonic is at its core a platformer, and a majority of the games in the series encourage you to explore the levels for goodies, whether they be extra lives or the many special stages where you can unlock the 7 Chaos Emeralds, magic gems that when all 7 are collected will transform Sonic into his ultimate form, Super Sonic. Let's do it! Aw yeah, now this is where it's at! Super Sonic is usually reserved for the final boss in most recent games. However, in the Genesis games, they could be found in the game through special stages, and you can actually use Super Sonic to blaze through the levels with ease. Granted, the special stages themselves are often pretty crappy to play through, but it's still fun regardless. Of course, a good hero always needs a good villain, and Dr. Ivo Robotnik Eggman truly delivers. Eggman has been Sonic's nemesis since day one, and he's still just as cool as ever. From delightfully devilish to downright hilarious, Eggman is without a doubt one of gaming's best villains ever. Why? Well, I'll let actor Jim Carrey explain it.
Not doing
Sonic is the innocence he can no longer connect with.
Exactly.
He wants to own it, but
Right.
he can never be it.
Right.
True words have never been spoken, Jim. Thank you. Not to mention, most of his boss fights are spectacular, with some very noteworthy exceptions. Guess it, robot! Now that that's out of the way, let's talk about one of the many great things this series is known for, the music. The Sonic series has gone through a lot of composers in the early years, including none other than Michael Jackson himself, who helped with the music of Sonic 3, but chose not to be credited as he wasn't happy with the sound quality of his songs on the Genesis. Even though his actual song sounded perfectly fine in Michael Jackson's Moonwalker game, which was on the Genesis, but whatever. However, Sonic 3 was also the composing debut of series composer Jun Senoue, lead guitarist of the band Crush 40. It wasn't until 1998 when Crush 40 would have their first vocal song in Sonic Adventure titled Open Your Heart. And oh boy, what a way to kick things off. And then 3 years later, when Sonic Adventure 2 was released, Crush 40 wrote Live and Learn, which has gone down in history as not only one of Sonic's best songs, but one of the best songs in gaming, period. I'm not even kidding, just the opening guitar riff is enough to hype up an entire crowd. And so, Crush 40 would go on to write music for almost every single Sonic game up until Sonic and the Black Knight in 2009. And man, Night of the Wind and Live Life are amazing songs for being the last Crush 40 songs in a Sonic game for almost 10 years. I highly recommend you get this band's best of album. It's a blast. Since Crush 40 stopped making music for the series, they hired many different artists for the series, such as Bowling for Soup with Endless Possibility, T. Lopez for the soundtrack of Sonic Mania, and Cash Cash for the 2 vocal songs in Sonic Colors. A part of me will always miss Crush 40's music, but the soundtracks to Sonic Unleashed, Colors, and Mania are phenomenal. Without a doubt, the best of the modern era. I would go into more detail about why Sonic music is amazing, but right now, we just don't have the time. For now, let's just say that Sonic music is some of the best video game music ever written. Don't at me on that. And now time to close things off with something a bit more heartfelt. The community. So I kinda bashed the Sonic community earlier for attracting the scum of the earth, but trust me when I say that not everyone is like that. Between your semi-classic Sonic fans and ego raptors, there are plenty of people who genuinely love the series and want to see it improve for the better. Sure, Sega has been incredibly inconsistent with the quality of Sonic games lately, but I know that one day they'll bounce back just like they did with the Dark Age of Sonic. And nowhere was that more prominent than with the Sonic movie coming out. When the first trailer dropped, everybody hated it. From the ill-fitting song choice with Gangster's Paradise to Sonic's ugly and uncanny design, it made a lot of people, including myself, wonder if being a Sonic fan was even worth it anymore. But then we got word from director Jeff Fowler where due to the overwhelming backlash, the movie was being delayed 5 more months to redesign Sonic from scratch. We were skeptical since stuff like this never happens in movies, like, ever. But then when we saw the second trailer with the redesign, it was almost like it was a completely different movie. Not only was Sonic's design a million times better, but the tone of the trailer was so much more lighthearted and fitting for the source material. Suddenly, people had high hopes and were ecstatic for this movie. Now, at the time of writing this script, the movie hasn't come out for another 2 weeks, so I won't know the quality of the movie when this video is uploaded, but honestly, I have high hopes for, at the very least, a fun popcorn flick, especially after hearing how dedicated Ben Schwartz and Jim Carrey were to their characters. And that, my friends, is why I think the Sonic series is awesome. There's a lot more to it than this, but this is the general gist. From the thrilling gameplay, amazing music, and when the community is good, it's amazing. So until then, my name is Aaron the Wolf, and I look forward to seeing you again when I have seen the Sonic movie. Stay strong and live life.